Cox.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I'd like to give my complete support to my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, in prescribing the Wagner Group. It is instrumental, as she said, in Russia's brutal and illegal invasion in Ukraine. It is almost certainly complicit in war crimes, the sort that we have seen described throughout this horrific conflict, and it is right that we support our allies in Ukraine and, in particular, President Zelensky. But my purpose in rising in this debate is to question the logic of why we are getting the Wagner Group today and the government's sense of priorities, in that we're not getting it alongside, if not linked, to the IRGC in Iran. And I do so by reference to the tests set out for the prescription of the Wagner Group in the government's explanatory notes to this motion today. Now, the first test is the nature and the scale of the organisation's activities, and my right honourable friend has set out why Wagner fits into this. But the IRGC are answerable directly to the Supreme Leader in Iran, so they have a direct link with the Iranian state's malignant activities, including their support of the war in Ukraine. The IRGC are directly involved in the brutal oppression of the Iranian people, the suppression of their human rights, the disappearances, the torture and the executions. So why not them? The second test set out by the government is the specific threat that it poses to the United Kingdom, and I hope my right honourable friend may say a little bit more, as far as she is able to do, about that specific threat. But it's very clear on the case of the IRGC that MI5 have acknowledged the real threat from Iran's, quote, aggressive intelligence services towards the United Kingdom. They clearly pass that test. The third test is the specific threat that it poses to British nationals overseas. Well, given the scale of the activities that the Wagner Group are involved in, that clearly would pass that test for them. But the IRGC are an indispensable part of the chain of hostage-taking that have a direct impact upon the safety of UK, and particularly UK dual nationals, abroad, including in Iran. Why are we not seeing that linkage here? The fourth test is the extent of the organisation's presence in the UK. I'm not quite clear about the extent of Wagner's presence in the UK. I can understand their impact on the UK, but I don't quite grasp their presence in the UK. But I am very clear about Iran's presence here and the IRGC's role in using its propaganda base to incite extremism in the UK. And the fifth test is the need to support international partners in the fight against terrorism. Well, my right honourable friend has quite rightly set out a number of countries who are our partners in the international community who should be getting our support in the fight against the Wagner Group and the interests that they have in their own countries. But again, we know that the IRGC are the export bureau for terrorism export in the region to its neighbours and beyond. We've had so many examples from Hezbollah onwards. And then, of course, Mr Deputy Speaker, we come to the linkage. The IRGC in Iran have a huge control over the means of production in that country. It is inconceivable that they were not intricately involved in the production of the drones that Iran sent to Russia for the oppression of the Ukrainian people. If war crimes have been carried out by Russia, then the means of helping those crimes be carried out has at least part of its origin in Tehran with the IRGC. It is essential that we tackle this as quickly as we can. There is no doubt, no one is going to disagree today, that Wagner are an evil, dangerous and malign grouping. But I would argue that they are no worse than the IRGC, who are not being proscribed by the government. Indeed, the Prime Minister, in seeking leadership of the Conservative Party, was very supportive of the concept of the proscription of the IRGC. So why the level of inactivity? And I understand that my right honourable friend will have to have discussions, and there will be a strong input from the Foreign Office in this. But all I would say to my right honourable friend, who has been a tough and robust Home Secretary something that many of us greatly appreciate. But we are well behind the curve on the United States when it comes to the IRGC, and our failure to tackle what is a malign influence in the world today is damaging Britain's reputation in the world beyond. And I'd ask my right honourable friend to urgently consult with the rest of government to see whether we should not be coming back to this chamber as quickly as possible and adding the IRGC to the groups that this country will rightly prescribe because of their impact on this country, our citizens, the safety of countries beyond, our allies and international law itself.